morning, America and the rest of the world. Xander J. Hobson here, stand-up comedian, entertainer, director, and producer of boxing documentaries, and internet troll to those who need internet trolling. This is another episode of The Devil's Advocate, brought to you by the Brilliant Artist Movement. Folks, do me a favor, I'm trying to grow the platform, so please subscribe, like this video, hate this video, share it. Leave a comment in the comment section. It could be something nice, or you could say something nasty, but you already know if you say something slick in my comment section, I'm gonna jump all over your punk ass.
Yo! Knock it the fuck off!
I'm the troll's troll, and trolling me will not be tolerated. Point blank, period. So anyway, I was on Facebook the other day, and I saw someone said Sugar Ray Leonard versus Roy Jones. Now, my pick for this fight, I think personally, Roy would beat Ray. Not taking anything away from Ray, but Roy is a physically bigger man than Ray. And one of the things about Ray, although he was a great fighter, one of the things that I observed after the first Tommy Hearns fight, Ray scaled down his level of competitiveness, and he only went after the big dollars. And for that reason, I believe that Roy would be more of a challenge for Ray than he wanted. And if Ray did take the fight, I believe Roy would beat him. That's that on that. But I want to stay with Roy Jones. A lot of people talk real slick and greasy about the great Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. is my contemporary. He's actually a year younger than me, born in '69. But nevertheless, Roy is one of the best fighters that I ever seen in my lifetime. And if you're asking me, my opinion, I think Roy Jones is every bit as great as Sugar Ray Robinson. He's up there in my top guys. You know, my favorite guys are Marvin Hagler and Bernard Hopkins. My top guys are Roy Jones and a handful of other guys, and I'm not going to name at this junction because I don't want to distract the video. But nevertheless, Roy Jones is a man who should have been an Olympic gold medalist, but he got robbed out of the gold by the improprieties that was going on in the Seoul Olympics in '88. He went on to turn pro, and he had a spectacular boxing career. I believe Roy Jones had won major and minor titles from middleweight all the way up to heavyweight. So spectacular fighter. But sadly, Roy Jones really doesn't get the credit that he deserves, because Roy Jones stuck around a little longer than he should have after he won the heavyweight title. In my opinion, a guy goes from middleweight all the way up to heavyweight, and he wins the heavyweight title. There's really nothing else left for him to do. But it's understandable, because when you make a living out of boxing or anything else, it's hard to walk away from that which you do, and you do well, and you make millions of dollars doing it, and you do it comfortably. For Roy Jones, it's like going to the office and doing some accounting work, or going into the courtroom and trying a case. That's just how good this man was. And his last great outing, if you're asking me, was his first fight against Antonio Tarver. Antonio Tarver, a man who pretty much made his name off of beating the great Roy Jones on 2 occasions. Now, this is in no way to minimize Antonio Tarver, but Antonio Tarver was stalking Roy Jones. I believe that you even played basketball before, and I think Tarver even beat Roy in a game of basketball. So this is how determined this man was to get a crack at Roy Jones. Antonio Tarver, living in the shadows of his fellow Floridian for a number of years. But I said all that to say this. After the first Tarver fight, Roy would suffer a bunch of embarrassing losses in his career. And for me, an avid Roy Jones fan, this didn't minimize his greatness one iota. He went in there and he gave it a crack, and he came up short. But a lot of people like to talk about Roy Jones's weak chin, the losses, the embarrassing losses. Well, Roy Jones was the type of guy, he didn't mind taking a chance. Roy Jones didn't cherry pick his competition. He went in there and he fought the best every time out. And leading up to Antonio Tarver 1, he had faced and defeated the best. Bernard Hopkins, James Lights Out Tony, the great Mike the Body Snatcher McCollum, Virgil Quicksilver Hill, Reggie Johnson, Montel Griffith, John Luis, Antonio Tarver once, as well as a bunch of other really great fighters in various weight divisions. A lot of guys always say, well, Roy Jones didn't fight no one because he made his fights look so easy. Listen, what Floyd Mayweather done a few years back, Roy Jones done in the 80s and the 90s and in some parts of the 2000s. The man was a great fighter. So I'm not going to be too much longer with this. Roy Jones was a great fighter. I don't like the fact that people try to tarnish his boxing career because of his losses after winning the heavyweight title and coming back down at weight and regaining the light heavyweight title against Antonio Tarver. No, Roy Jones is a great guy, but again, once the desire started fading, and I don't even believe Roy realized the desire started to fade. Roy Jones making movies, making rap videos, doing a whole bunch of things that distracted him from the sport of boxing. Boxing is a tough and gritty game, and if you don't have 100% focus on that what you do, you could go in that boxing ring and suffer the kind of embarrassing losses that the great Roy Jones suffered during his career. So with that said, I'm done with it. Hail Roy Jones. Bam!